Hello, All Access crew. I'm so happy to be here for this second edition of Tarot and the Stars for the week of April 18th and 19th. So I'm coming to you today on Tuesday, the 19th, to bring in, celebrate, and call in the energy of Taurus season. This is a huge shift of energy from Aries season, because Aries is so much about the speed and the mind. Aries rules the head, and Aries is so much about these brand new beginnings and looking almost into the future, going forward, lots of momentum, lots of fire. And the spring comes in on Aries season. Remember, it's the first sign of the whole zodiac wheel. It brings in the season of spring. It brings in the blossoming of spring. Aries is new beginnings and fresh starts. And when we make our way to Taurus season, there's a big shift in energy, and it goes from fire to earth. And the energy asks us to slow down into our human experience. And that means whatever was happening in Aries season can be integrated into the slower pace of Taurus season. Whatever insights you had or changes that you realized you wanted to invest your time in, or realizations that you had in ways that you would like to lean into what you truly desire and what you truly want in your life, Taurus season can be an opportunity for creating the building blocks. Really, it's an opportunity to literally plant the seeds of what you want to bring into fruition as we go around the full zodiac wheel. Taurus energy is ruled by the five senses. And that is why when I think about Taurus, I think about immediately what comes to my mind is chocolate. I know that not everyone who's a Taurus loves chocolate, but the five senses makes me think of sitting down with a decadent, luxurious piece of chocolate and taking my time to eat it and feel it in my mouth and experience the sweetness of the chocolate and all of the different flavor notes. Or you might do that with a cup of coffee or wine or some sort of delicious meal. It takes us into our senses, into the pleasure body. And this might bring up some themes around your experience with pleasure and what pleasure is to you and means to you, and how you bring it into your life. So I immediately think of chocolate or coffee and just really luxuriating in the pleasure of being fully present with that experience. And can you think of a time in your life when maybe you've eaten something or done an activity without your consciousness, where you're just eating and you don't even know that you're eating? You might know that you're eating, but you're thinking about something else. Your brain is in another space. Taurus season opens a door for us to get integrated in the body, to be present with what we're doing when we're doing it. I'm thinking of a quote from Buddha. It might be Buddha, one of the Buddhas. It might be someone else entirely, but you do one thing at a time. When you're driving, drive. When you're eating, eat. When you're walking, walk. In a society where we are truly inundated with external distractions through the phone or the sounds around you through cars or music or TV, through what's going on in the world. We tend to get distracted and outside of ourselves. And what can happen then is that our consciousness becomes ruled by our external circumstance. And this season is an opportunity for us to get more deeply connected in creating from within the kind of experience we want to have. And Taurus reminds us that we are of the earth, that we are earthlings, that we may not have come from the earth, we may have come from the stars and stardust, or who knows really what was going on there. I know science has a theory, and they're all theories, but we in the end are earth beings, and we have the dirt of the earth inside of us, and we have these microorganisms inside of us, and even so many viruses inside of us that also live in the earth, that all have a harmoniously working community. And our body truly reflects what is happening in the earth. This is a time to give reverence to that, to give reverence to the fact that you go on a walk in the woods and you will have a state change. For me, when I go on a walk in the woods, when it's so easy to not do that. It's so easy to be busy. Aries season, it's so easy to get distracted. Also Aries season, and Gemini, which is coming on the other side. This is like a portal of presence. And when I do commit, Taurus, commit to going into the woods or spending some time at the beach or wherever it is, I have a shift of energy. And I feel, this is personally speaking, more connected to the world around me. If there's one thing that I was called to do when taking ayahuasca, it was to honor the earth more, the trees, the plants, the flowers, the animals, the insects, the mycelium network, to honor these things, because often as a society, we're so driven to succeed, and we're so driven to be in such an either intellectual place or a place of working and making money, which is also a Taurus theme, that we tend to forget about the basics. And that is Taurus. Taurus is the basics. It's get back to the basics. What do I need right now that will help me feel grounded, relaxed, and whole? That's a question that you might ask yourself often during this season. What do I need right now that will help me feel grounded, relaxed, and whole? Another layer that's coming up with the aspect on money that just came through is that sometimes people who have a lot of Taurian energy or planets in the second house, or even Venus planets, they can worry about money, and that worrying keeps them in that same mental state where their belief system, whether they're conscious of it or not, thinking that they don't have enough. That is a Taurus theme. Do I have enough? Thinking from that perspective brings in more of that same energy. So if you're thinking, I don't have enough, you will get more of, I don't have enough. And that has been brought up before with the language and doing the best you can to become conscious of these negations, saying there's not enough money, or I can't afford that. These are such Taurus themes. and shifting your language. I am prioritizing in investing in myself. I am prioritizing in delicious food. I am prioritizing bringing in incredibly luxurious chocolate that is not slave trade chocolate and is so yummy. And it's asking yourself questions about your values, because Taurus is about those basics of what you need and then building that. And our values are always changing. Our values may have been one thing when you were 22 or 30. And as you change, your value system can change as well. So now we have this opportunity to check in with our values and that our actions are in alignment with this value system. Very, very Taurus, reassessing the value system and your behaviors matching up with your value system. I will give you an example. Just give me a moment because I've got to go in, and I will, okay, I'm going to continue to talk about food. Hopefully that's okay. I'm sorry if you don't like food. I love food, and Taurus season gives me the open door to talk about food, so it's happening. Food is the best. So last year I went over my mother's house to help her with a post-op, help her heal from a hip replacement that she had. Very intense experience going back with my mother. And thank goodness she doesn't live in the house I grew up in. That would have been even more challenging, but she lives in Florida, so pretty good. So I go back with my mother, and I value organic food. For a long time, I thought I had to explain why I wanted organic food or kind of prove this value system that I had, because I had guilt around the price of the organic food. I had some privilege guilt around that. The truth is that if what I'm eating doesn't say organic, or I don't know where it came from, like maybe there's a farm down the street or I grew it and I know there's not chemicals in it. If it's not organic, it has pesticides in it. It has chemicals in it, and it is going to be the potential of putting illness into my body. And one of my values is health. And so part of my health value, holistic health, is that I do the best that I can to eat food that is organic, local, that I also eat meat. And for a lot, I was a vegetarian for 12 years, thinking that was my value system at the time. So you see, values change. I thought not eating meat was the healthiest thing for me to do. Turned out not, it's for me, meat is actually really good. So if I'm eating meat, I'm eating meat that is free range, pasture raised. And if I'm eating eggs, I also want those chickens to be free roaming. I don't want them to be in a coop with 1,000 other chickens. Okay, so I have these certain values around my body. And this is so Taurus. And it took me a long time to get here because my background is eating disorder. And I used to eat in order to look a certain way. And I really valued thinness, something that I didn't have as an obese child. I didn't have it, and I wanted it, and I valued it. And so I crafted my life and my belief system to receive that thinness. And at that time, the joy and the pleasure of eating and being alive was lacking. It wasn't there for me. So Taurus is about what are your values that also give you joy and pleasure and help you feel whole and connected to yourself. So I'm at my mother's. Thank you for that, going on the tangent with me. So I'm at my mother's and it's time to go grocery shopping. She will not let me use her car. That's one of her values. Her value is that her stuff is her stuff and she knows what she wants, and I respect that. So I'm not allowed to use her car, and she can't drive because she just had hip surgery. So we're like, okay, Instacart, like, let's get some grocery delivery. And she refuses to get grocery delivery from Whole Foods because it's too expensive. And she wants to use a different grocery store, which is fine. Now, let me say that my mother is not financially struggling. It's a belief system that the food is too expensive, and that's fine, no judgment. Anyway, so we're looking on this grocery store, and I'm noticing she's getting all these vegetables that are not organic. To me, that says my mother's about to eat a bunch of pesticides and Roundup killer and chemicals and Monsanto. And to me, that is not holistic health. And so I say to my mom, let's get some organic vegetables. And she looks at the price and she says, this is 3 times more. I will never buy these vegetables. They are so expensive. And that is her value system. And that is totally fine. But you can see where your values change. And you can also see where maybe the people in your life don't have the exact same values as you. But right now, and we did get into a really big argument about it that probably didn't need to happen. And we ended up not eating organic food. But when I'm living my own life, I get to make the choices that are going to be in alignment with my values. And I imagine that you can agree with me. And you're sitting there on the other side like, yeah, there's certain things that I value that I'm not going to give up. You know, like, what is it that gives you pleasure? What is it that gives you the kind of energy you desire? What is it that makes you a happy person? And specifically with Taurus, it's how are you using your finances to align with your values? And really questioning that, and any place where you may be holding yourself back from aligning those energetic frequencies. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to screen share, is the fact that Uranus right now, which is the planet of insights, changes, breakthroughs, surprises, out of the box thinking, and change, lots of change, this planet Uranus. So right now I'm jumping to April 28th in the screen share, and that's because the solar eclipse is coming. And when we're on the precipice of eclipse season, we are walking into a lot of potential changes and upgrades and really new energy in our life. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go right here to the sun in Taurus and Uranus right next to it, conjunct. So what's happening now is that we have Uranus and the sun conjunct, and Uranus, ruled by Aquarius, is a forward thinking, sort of rebellious, change making, higher vibration, higher frequency. It's like when you have these ideas out of nowhere, that's Uranus. And it's coming into the house of Taurus. And that's a little uncomfortable for Taurus, because Taurus likes things really slow and steady, calm and grounded. You know, it wants to cuddle up on the couch with the hot cocoa and watch some movies and really relax and like luxuriate in their fancy sheets or whatever it is. And Uranus is looking to shake things up and say, hey, it's time to do something different or do something new. So we are coming into eclipse season with a lot of Uranus energy. And what this might do is have us realize that there's certain places that we may be staying in just because we're comfortable in them, or certain behaviors that we may be doing just because we're comfortable with them. I talked to someone yesterday who really wants to leave their job. And when it got down to it, the truth was that her values and her belief system was not aligned with the job that she has. And there's been a few people in my life and in birth chart readings I've done in the past week where this same theme has come up. And that also might be showing up in another way. So this is where we're going to be shaken up a little bit and asked to either change our perception, like change your belief system around where you are in order to open more space and potential, or change your environment or change your behavior, belief system, environment, behavior. I'm sure there's another one I'm missing here, but that's the energy that we're coming into. So the last thing that we want is to go into eclipse season like, something's going to change. Oh my God. And what we really want to cultivate is preparedness. How can I really live into my value system? How can I take responsibility and build what I want to build? What seeds am I planting? Or what seeds are you planting? How do you want to build what you want to build? And what do you want to change? Now, one other really interesting thing is the Uranus alignment. The last time it was in this space in the sky was the middle of 2020. So there have been some massive changes from the middle of 2020 to 2022. And we're now being asked, okay, so much growth has happened since the middle of 2020. Oh my God, certain themes could be, it's helpful to go back in time and just remember what you were doing in the middle of 2020. So June 2020, what was happening in June 2020? I'll just give you a moment. I'm going to sip my homemade coffee in a plastic cup. So what was happening in the middle of 2020? And from that time, did your value system change? And did you take action to shift the life a little bit? And now we're in a whole new level. There's been so much evolution from that time. So what is changing in you, or what's the same? And what now are you growing from that time? I would love to hear in the comments if there's something you want to share of, what your life was like in 2020, middle of 2020, or, what you have changed or shifted. I imagine it's a lot. I would love to hear. The community would love to hear. You are also welcome to write in the comments, what is your intention for Taurus season? So we're coming into Taurus season in a big way. Taurus season, eclipse season, Uranus conjunct the sun, very, very big energies here. Lots of opportunities to reassess and clear out the older things, being able to walk away from the things that aren't serving. So now I'm going to ask my guides, angels, and guardians for some support as we pull cards for a Taurus season. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? What do we need to know? And then choose in your mind a number between 1 and 3. 1, 2, or 3. Let it come to you. And the card that I choose that is your card, is your personal message. And these 3 cards are also a collective message. So interesting. Okay. This is interesting. It's kind of dark. There's some darkness in this reading. Okay, card number 1, people. 6 of Swords. What do you see when you look at this card? Do we see a girl in a boat on the ocean? There are 3 crows that are kind of pulling her in whatever direction they want to go in. She's got a suitcase in her hand. So she's on some kind of journey. The crow's behind her. We got a lot of blue, a lot of yellow. So swords are the mind, and swords are your thoughts, again, your belief system, your perceptions, and the words that come up for you. There's also a little star in this picture. The water's pretty choppy. So there is a mindset that is being asked to be released for card number 1, people. There may be limiting beliefs or inner critic stuff where, maybe there's a voice in your head that's saying, you want to do this thing, but you can't do it. Stay where you are. That voice in your head that's like yapping at you, lying to you, telling you things that are not true, trying to keep you from living into your fullest expression in this feel-good place. So 6 of Swords, you may feel kind of taken over by these critical voices. They could be coming at the inside or the outside. And this is really a call to cut those little strings, those strands of the crow, to have to use what tools you have to get back to yourself and away from these voices in your head that are illusions. And for Taurus season, it's a reminder that we want to get in our bodies. And if we're in the head, we are not able to experience presence. So card number 1, people, are you able to get in your body? Are you able to move your body in a way that brings you right inside, connects you with your heart, and takes you out of that headspace that may be slightly overwhelming or loud? I'm being called to pick up the book from the Light Seers Tarot deck and bring some more information, and also the mantra of this card. So the shadow side of the card: difficulties in accepting help, resistance to change, hard transitions, or carrying baggage and weight from your past. Again, these things are mental stuff. The swords are all about the head. It's not the reality on the outside. It's the perception of what's happening. The light of this card is being able to accept the changes that need to come through, accepting help and support. It's also, and this is not from the book, moving through a time in your life where you may have to make a challenging choice. You may have to go through a shift that's not the easiest thing to go through, but you want to think of it like a rite of passage where you're stepping into your higher power. You are moving into a place where your inner authority is the ruler, and there's a lot of healing that happens through that. The book says moving beyond trauma, moving beyond the shadows of the past, which means that you're also going through a spiritual evolution. The mantra is, I accept help as I easily cross this transition. So for card number 1, people, whatever voices are coming up during this time that are keeping you where you are rather than moving you forward, what actions need to be taken in order to step out of the head and into the body and into taking action? I'm remembering that saying that we had a couple weeks ago: action dispels overwhelm, because I could see some overwhelm also coming up in this with this kind of card. So it's interesting because it's for the 1 people, but also it is for us as a community. So we're all going through a transition, and we may all feel some interesting energy, some shifting icky energy as we move through. And remember that eclipse season creates change, and the change is for spiritual growth. The change is to become more sovereign beings. The change is to become more honest with ourselves. The change is to help us love ourselves in a deeper way and be able to take the actions that are in alignment with our value system, in alignment with our hearts. Card number 2, people, 10 of Cups. So take a look at the image. A lot of joy here. We see a rainbow, all the chakra colors. Cups are the emotional realm, how we feel, the influx, the flowing of emotions, our experience of all the emotions that we can experience in this realm, which is absolutely everything from grief to joy to happiness to sadness to elation and ecstasy, disappointment, all the emotions. Now, 10s are 100% a community vibe or a relationship vibe, partnership vibe. So 10 of Cups has the power of really experiencing joy in your relationships or your community and loving it, just loving the atmosphere you're in, the community you're in, the people that are surrounding you, where there's so much abundance and you feel so full and full of love from either your partnerships, your community. This card did come in reverse, emptying those cups out. So there may be a call for the 2 card people, or whoever is resonating with this. You know, maybe you picked a different card, but this is a card that's calling to you. And again, these cards are really for all of us. This is a reminder to start within ourselves and ask ourselves what we need first, because sometimes we, I believe we're kind of programmed to look from the outside in before going inside out. So sometimes we can feel lacking in our outside relationships, lacking in the community, or lacking in the partnership or friendship, and we're wanting to receive energy that we are not actually giving to ourselves. And so I would say this is a card, if you're resonating with that, to ask yourself what you need to give to yourself. Again, the Taurus season question: what do I need to give myself? How do I need to turn this back into myself? What do I need? Do I need a little break from work? Do I need to do something new and different, like go to a strip dancing class? I don't know why that came up, like a pole dancing class. Do I need to have a certain conversation? Do I miss an old friend that I want to reconnect with? Where could I put more energy into myself that will make me feel good, and then reassess how this relationship is going? But really, this is overall a really beautiful card, just to have that energy of community, partnership, or friendship, even relationship to, like, for me, my work, like All Access, this is a relationship that I really, really care about. So your relationship could be literally anything that feels like a relationship to you, and putting the energy back into it, asking what you want to cultivate, what seeds you want to plant, and just making sure that it's not an outside in job, it's an inside out job, if that makes sense. So filling that up. Card number 3, people. Oh my, woe is me. So much woe is me vibes that we are tapping into for this Taurus season. You know, oh my God, she's like, okay, so we have this sad Chikadika, and she is resting her head in her hands, looking off into the distance, probably into her past, thinking about what she doesn't have, putting all that energy into the negations, the stuff that she wants, that she just doesn't have, and really throwing her energy into a place that is not going to bring her joy, pleasure, peace, or happiness. And when I look at this card, I really see Taurian energy massively. We have an abundant, gorgeous, freaking full of green tree in the background. It's like midsummer, peak of summer. And she's looking away from all of these beautiful things. I ripped the card here, so I'll just hold it like that. She's looking away from all of these super beautiful things. If she just looks the other way, she's going to see a gorgeous light beam of purple and red, intuition energy and grounding and pinks and all these bowls that are actually full. If you look into this, there's literally a bowl at the bottom with a hand offering her this bowl, and it is full. So 4 of Cups is a indication where there could be the energy of feeling disappointed or feeling disconnected. And the thing to remember is it's also the energy where one would be healed, or where one would come into more harmony by becoming present. All she has to do is look down. And when she looks down, she sees a bowl that someone is literally handing to her. How much do these two go hand in hand? The 6 of Swords and this one, where she doesn't have to look very far in order to get what she wants. And what she does truly have to do is shift her perspective and become aware of where her energy is being thrown. If the person in this card is thinking about the past or the future, or thinking about the disappointments, or thinking about what they don't have, again, law of attraction, they will be receiving more thoughts about what they don't have. It's as simple as the neurological wiring in the brain, and the amount at which we have to work towards the reprogramming of our minds that will change absolutely everything. It is so simple, yet seems so far away during these times of disconnection, like inner disconnection. And we have to cultivate a resilience around this theme of being in control of where the mind is going and taking accountability and responsibility for where the mind is going. This is a really big theme, it seems, for this specific season and for all of us, to become aware of what's going on in the mind, to become accountable for it. And what I'm not saying is don't feel your feelings. By all means, feel your feelings. This is truly a little bit different than feeling your feelings. It's about the programming and the wiring in your brain, and it being time to reprogram your brain. And because it's Taurus season, you can literally do that with your 5 senses. What I mean by that is put on some music and become present to the music, and listen to the lyrics, and put on lyrics that are going to help your wiring get into a place where you want. So lyrics that are in alignment with where you want to be mentally at. You could be listening to really sad songs or songs about not having any money or not having any relationship or what have you. Or you could be listening to songs that are going to light you up, that are going to help your brain get into that space where you're like, I'm every woman, it's all in me. I don't know, that song's really coming through. So music, then your vision. What are you looking at? What does your environment look like? You want to make sure that your environment helps you feel a certain way that you want to feel. And I mentioned earlier about decluttering your space. That's a big one because Taurus sometimes likes to hold on to the old stuff. Eclipse season is coming and you want to start to take some of that old stuff out to create space for this, all this abundant new energy is coming in. So we have music, we have sight. So sound, sight, touch, hands in the earth, hands on the grass, touching things that give you pleasure, maybe your tarot cards or your dildo, whatever it is, touching yourself. Give yourself some pleasure. So we have eyes, we have the nose, essential oils totally help get me into a place of presence. Rose oil is a highly abundant oil with the highest frequency of any other flower on the entire planet. So rose is an amazing oil to work with. If you have it, literally stop and smell the flowers. That's what we're talking about here. Your taste buds, taking your time, really luxuriating in the food that you eat and really nourishing yourself. I think you get the picture. So we are becoming mental ninjas. That is what we have the opportunity to do. Mental ninjas, and then be present in the body and reassess our value system and the actions, habits, behaviors that we want to start to step into in order to create the life that is in alignment with our values and our heart. Taurus, Venus, the heart. That's it. This is a long one. If you stayed for the whole thing, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I truly appreciate you. Have a beautiful, beautiful entrance into Taurus season. Get out into nature, go on a walk, and have a beautiful day.